Okay, hi guys, thank you so much for coming to Ottawa for the protest, especially everybody who came from everywhere, Toronto, Montreal, Windsor, Kitchener, London, all of you guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Faven. So, Tigray is currently experiencing the worst humanitarian crisis in the world in the last decade. For 227 days, that's over 7 months, the unelected Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Eritrean dictator Isaias Afwerki have been committing a genocide and conducting crimes against humanity in Tigray. As we speak, they are weaponizing food and deliberately creating a man-made famine. They are using rape as a weapon of war, and they are massacring innocent civilians from town to town. Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers have been making it almost impossible for humanitarian aid to enter Tigray. Not only that, they are stealing and confiscating humanitarian assets and supplies, which is why Tigray is experiencing catastrophic food insecurity and famine. They have a very deliberate strategy in place to starve Tagarus to death. The ongoing anti-farming campaign is for the sole purpose of creating famine. Tigrayan farmers have been ordered not to farm because it will be seen as a sign of defiance and an act of resistance. Soldiers have looted all of the food from Tigrayan homes. They have burned and destroyed their crops. They have been burning and looting farming equipment and seeds so that they can't plant their own food. And they have been slaughtering their animals so that they have nothing to eat. We are officially in the worst case scenario. 5.2 million, or 91% of Tigray, is in need of emergency food assistance. UNICEF told us last week over 30,000 children are on the verge of death because they are severely malnourished. And yet, Canada is doing nothing about it. Instead, they are tweeting about their diplomatic relationships and potential investment opportunities with a genocidal country. And not only that, but they are also, and not only food, but rape is also being used as a weapon of war to demoralize Tagaru and traumatize women so that they don't want to have children and create the next generation of Tagaru. Our women and girls are experiencing unimaginable suffering. The reports have shown that 76% of all rapes have been committed by multiple men at the same time. Girls as young as 8 years old and even virgin nuns are being brutally raped by Eritrean and Ethiopian soldiers. It's a very systematic way of ethnic cleansing. Abusers have told their victims that they are here to make sure that they never have Tagaru children ever again. Women are experiencing barbaric acts of sexual torture with the intent of forced sterilization, to the point surgeons in Atagrat have removed rocks and nails that were inserted in women. This type of act is to ensure that they will never be able to have children again, that their wombs will never be able to have children. No matter how painful these stories are, we have to share them so that way the world hears about the suffering Tigrayan women are going through. Many of our women are being drugged and abducted by soldiers for sexual slavery. Marhawi, as many of you guys know, she was brutally raped for 2 weeks by 15 Eritrean soldiers who fractured her pelvis and spine and left her unable to walk and incontinent. Salam and 17 other girls were abducted by soldiers and brought to a forest where 100 soldiers waited for them. They tied up their legs and their hands and legs, and they raped them without mercy for 3 days. They were raped by HIV positive soldiers, and then they were told they were there to make sure they also became infected. These sick acts of sexual violence are meant to destroy Tagarus, not only physically, but also psychologically. They are forcing men at gunpoint to rape their family members, and when they refuse, they are murdering them. Husbands are being forced to watch soldiers rape their wives and children. Even a grandfather was ordered to rape his granddaughter, and when he refused, soldiers abused her, and then they shot her in the arms and legs. And honestly, this is not the saddest part. It's just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Tagaru women who are going through this in the darkness, and the world is not talking about it. We need to advocate for our women and girls in Tigray because there are so many more victims. And we need to stand by our women so that they know we believe them, they know we care about them, and they know that we will continue to fight for them. There's mounting evidence that Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers are also massacring innocent civilians all throughout Tigray. Many massacres, like the Aksum massacre and the Cliff massacre of Mahabar Dego, have been independently verified by the likes of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, BBC, and CNN. And in recent months, we are seeing horrific chemical burns caused by drones carrying white phosphorus, which is against international law. We saw 13-year-old Kasanet and 18-year-old Yamane. Both of them suffered immensely from these types of chemical attacks. More chemical weapons have entered Makala, and we need to make sure we do our job as Canadians to advocate for a no-fly zone so that more innocent lives are not victims of what they're calling the final act. We are here today to call for peace and to urge the Canadian government to do its part and to intervene now, before more lives are lost in this genocide. We witnessed the international community fail Rwanda as they sat on the sidelines and they waited and they waited and they waited to intervene as countless civilians were murdered. Please, let's all do our part before more innocent lives are lost in Tigray. Deka Ade and all allies, please keep using your social media. Please keep using Twitter. Use the hashtag Tigray Genocide. Keep tagging your elected officials and influential people. Keep calling and emailing your MPs. This is so important. There are girls here today collecting signatures that will be sent to MPs. Make sure you find them. Make sure you sign them. It's very important. There's no time or room for silence or neutrality during genocide. We are making a difference, but we need to keep on fighting for our people. Thank you so much. Adjahum Tigray Terwat.